you just turn that door off? Shut that door off. Thank you. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम् मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात् शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात्। In a Mahakalpa, there are 14 Manvantara, and in a Mahakalpa there are cycles of Chaturyuga to the 1,000 times, which is in a lifespan of Brahmaji. In lifespan of Brahmaji, such Mahakalpa, there are 14 Manus from each Manvantara. So 6 of these Manvantaras have already been discussed. And this has been the topic wherein there are a lot of names and lot of lineages talked about in the past also. So in this particular chapter, the 13th chapter of the 8th canto, Shukadeva Maharaj starts with Manuhu vivasvataha putraha shraddhadeva iti shrutaha saptamo vartamano yaha tatpatyani me shrunu. He says, 6 have already passed. Vartamanaha, Vartamanaha, the present one, is the 7th Manvantara. And we have the 7th Manu. And what is this Manu's name? See, if you do your Sandhya Vandana daily, if you have been initiated into the Yajñopavita Samskara, and you do your Sandhya Vandana daily, and it is said daily in the sense 3 times a day, 3 Sandhya. So when you do 3 times, you have to do the Sankalpa. So in the Sankalpa, there are many things that are discussed. Mamopatta samasta duritakshaya dvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham Asmin Shubhatite Shubha Muhurte Shubha Nakshatre Shubha Yoga Shubha Karana Evam Guna Vishishtayam. There's a lot of details. What yoga, what karana, what nakshatra, what is the time that you have taken, which continent you are worshipping in. There's a lot of details that goes into that sankalpa. In that sankalpa, one of the details that is given is with respect to what manvantara we are belonging to. What is a manvantara that we are belonging to? If you remember, in our sankalpa, we usually say Vaivasvata Manvantare Kali Yuge Prathama Pade. You remember that? Have you heard of that? The Manvantara is Vaivasvata Manvantara. What Yuga is this? Kali Yuga. What part of Kali Yuga? If Kali Yuga is divided into 4 parts, we are in Prathame Pade, the first quarter of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga of which Manvantara? There are so many Manvantaras that have passed by, there are so many to yet to come. Where are we hanging in between? What is our Manvantara called? So he says, Manuhu Vivasvataha Putraha, Vivaswan and his son, so it is called Vaivasvata Manvantara. Like the son of Vasudeva. What is his name? Vasudeva. His full name was Sri Krishna Vasudeva Yadava. Sri Krishna Vasudeva Yadava. SKV Yadav. His full name. Sri Krishna Vasudeva Yadav. Who wrote this Purana? He is SKD Vyasa. Sri Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. The one who belonged to the Dvipa. Dvipa is the island. Belonging of the Dvipa, he is called Dvaipayana. So belonging to Vasudeva, he is called Vasudeva. Similarly, belonging to Vivaswan, he is called Vaivasvata Manvantara. He has a different name too. What is the name that he has? Shraddha Deva iti Shrutaha. And this Shraddha Deva is today's Manu. As of today, he is Shraddha Deva. Now this Shraddha Deva, he had many children. Not had, he has the present time, right? He has many children. Who are these children? He had 10 children. One of the children that even Ramji belonged to that lineage. What is the lineage of Ramchandraji? Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku was one of the son of Shraddha Deva. So Ikshvaku, Nabhaga, Drishta, Sharyati, Narshayanta, Nabhaga, Dishta, Kurusha, Prushagna, Vasumana. These are the 10 sons of Shraddha Deva. And in this Manvantara, who are the Devatas and the Pradhana Gana that who take care of this entire nature, entire creation. Who are the main devatas? These main devatas are Aditya, Vasu, Rudra, Vishvedeva, Marudgana, Ashwini Kumara and Rubhu. These are the main deities. And there are Sapta Rishis. For every Manvantara, these set of Pradhana Devatas and the Sapta Rishis, they keep changing. Even Indra keeps changing. They are all post. So who are the Sapta Rishis for this particular Manvantara? How do we know who are these Sapta Rishis? Most of us have some Gotra. As I said, except those who belong to the Kerala Pranta. Now Kerala Pranta doesn't have a Gotra, most of them. Am I true? So Kerala Pranta doesn't have much of Gotra. The others, when you go, they ask for, in the temples they ask for your Gotra. So you keep telling your Gotra. He is your Adi Rishi or the one of the Sapta Rishis. Who are these Sapta Rishis? For this Manvantara, Kashyapa, Atri, Vasishta, Vishwamitra, Gautama, Jamadagni and Bharadwaja. These are the 7 Rishis, Sapta Rishis of this Manvantara. And then it is in this Manvantara, in this particular cycle of Manvantara, that Vamana took avatar. See, in the earlier 6 avatars, 6 Manvantaras, there is a various Manvantaras, there are various forms of God as incarnation. It is not necessarily in the same sequence as we are taught while we are growing up. We are taught that they are Dashavatara of Lord Krishna. I hear that there is a movie named Dashavatara. I am not talking of that. Dashavatara of Lord Krishna, 10, and we are taught that they are in a sequence like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana. So that is the sequence that it goes. But when you look in through Bhagavata, they are belonging to various different Manvantaras, not necessarily in the same order. Vamana comes in this Manvantara that he was a part. So he says here, Kashyapo, Atri, Vasishtaha, these are the Sapta Rishis. Atrapi Bhagavan Janma, Kashyapadite Rabhut, Aditya Nama Varajo Vishnuhu, Vamana Rupadhika. He was of a very short form, Vamana Rupadhik. And he was recognized also as Vamana. Sometimes size does matter. And you get recognized by that size. So he was in that form, Vamana. Vamana meaning a very short, stout form. And he was recognized as Vamana Avatara. So that happened in this very Manvantara. And then he says, He Parikshita, Sankshepataha Maya Uktani Sapta Manvantarani te. This particular chapter is very beautiful because from today on, whatever Manvantaras that are yet to come, there are 7 to come. So he gives a little glimpse into all those 7 Manvantaras. So what does he say? He says, if you remember, in the 6th canto, Swamiji, in the 8th canto, if you start from the beginning, we will not remember the names. If you start from 6th canto, he said, but our Shukadev Maharaj understands our capacity. So he revisits what he has already introduced in 6th canto. He says, of the Lord Sun, Vivaswan, Lord Sun, he had 2 wives. At least do you remember those names? One wife's name was Sangnya and the other's name was Chaya. Now the children born to Sangnya, they are Yama, Yami and Shraddha Deva. Shraddha Deva is the son of Surya. And then Chaya also had 3 sons, Savarni, Shani and Tapati. So Lord Surya has two main sons that you all recognize. One is Yama and the second one is Shani. And the third son that he had of Sanya Devi is Shraddha Deva, who is our Manu for this particular Manvantara. And there is a story wherein the Sanya Devi takes a different form of the name Vadava, and of her there were the Ashwini Kumara who were born. Now, based on these children, the 8th Manvantara is described. What is the 8th Manvantara? The 8th Manvantara, Savarni Manu. Who is this Savarni Manu? He is the son of Chaya Devi, the first son. Chaya Devi has 3 sons. What are their names? We just read, right? Savarni, Shani and Tapati. Yamadev was of Sanya Devi. So the 8th Manvantara, you will find that Savarni is the Manu, and this Savarni had the Devagana are Sutapa, Viraja, Amrita Prabha. They are the Devatas of that time frame. And the Indra for the 8th Manvantara is Bali. The Bali of this Manvantara would be the Indra for next Manvantara. Seems to be very confusing. It's not that confusing, it's very simple. Who gets the right to vote in a country? The citizens of that country. As long as you are alien immigrant or an immigrant, you are not qualified for the voting right. Only a citizen of that kingdom or that country has the right to vote. Anybody who has the right to vote also has the right to become the president of that country, isn't it? Yes or no? So those who are the citizens, they should be born in this land. I'm just taking it as an example so that you understand. What I am talking in specific is about the Manvantara. This is just an example. So in a system, you become a citizen, you are natural born, native born, not exported, not imported citizen, but a native born citizen, and you can be having the rights to become the president or the main king of that land. Similarly, for this entire cosmos, all the creatures that are born here, by what we do in these lifetimes, whatever life that we have been given, good and bad, depending on the virtues that we have acquired in these lifetimes, we also can be qualified to become one of these heavenly deities. One of them is called Indra. Indra is like a post. Indradeva is, though we recognize by that name Indra, each Indra has a different name. Like, you may recognize everybody as a president of this country, but each president, whoever has been elected, has a different name. I come across kids who can rattle out, there are what, 50 plus, 44 presidents, they can, yeah, 44th. So they can rattle out all 44 names. There's a song also, they sing in that rhythmic order. all 44 names. Similarly here, Bali in this Manvantara did a lot of good karma, acquiring lot of punya, which promoted him to the post of Indra in next Manvantara. He got elected to that post. So the Indra is Virochana Putra Bali. Now this Raja Bali, he was once even tied by the Lord, but the Lord was so happy with Raja Bali's devotion towards him that he gave Raja Bali the entire Sutala Loka for Raja Bali to rule, where he is presently as the present day Indra for that Sutala Loka. And in his rule, the Sapta Rishis will be, now this is going to be a surprise for most of you. Who is going to be the Sapta Rishis for next Manvantara? Okay, let me first start with, who is going to be the next Manvantara's Brahmaji? Hanuman ji is going to be the next Brahmaji. And we have known that Bali is going to be Indra. Now who are going to be the Sapta Rishis? Catch here. Galava, Deeptiman, Parashurama, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, Rishyashrunga and Vyasji of this Manvantara are getting elected as or selected as the Sapta Rishis for next Manvantara. So people will have their gotras. So whatever we do in this lifetime, now imagine all these great rishis have acquired so much of punya, especially Vyasa Maharaj. Imagine what he has not touched, what he has not done. But in Lord's creation, if he wants, saying, I want you for next Manvantara, they gladly accept. That it is very rarely that Lord comes and says, I need your help for next Manvantara. So when the moment Lord asks, saying that you are there for next Manvantara, in the Brahma Loka, all the Saptarishis are waiting for their next turn. But in order to become Indra, is there anybody who wants to become Indra for next Manvantara yet to come? There is still scope, right? There are 7 more Manvantaras. So any one of you can become Indra. So what is the criteria? That you have to perform 100 Ashwamedha Yaga or 100 Rajasuya Yaga. You do 100 of them, the day you finish your 100, you have passed and you could be potentially Indra. That is why in many of these Puranas, whenever there is a mention of Rajasuya Yajna or continuous Rajasuya Yajna being performed or Ashwamedha Yaga performed, Indra gets threatened. Because he technically sees that as lobbying for his seat. So he would provide every single opportunity to see that continuous Rajasuya or Ashwamedha Yaga is disrupted. Because his position is at stake. He doesn't like it. Now, in this particular 8th Manvantara, Lord will be born as Purandara. Sorry, Purandara is today, this present Manvantara's Indra. This comes in the 17th shloka. Devaguhyat saraswatyam sarvabhauma iti prabhu sthanam purandaradhritva balaye dasyatishvaraha. Taking that position of Indra from Purandara, it is given to next Indra, who is Bali. Who does this? Sarvabhauma is the Lord's Amsha, who is born in the 8th Manvantara. Like in this Manvantara, Vamana was born. In the 8th Manvantara, it will be called Sarvabhauma. Then he goes into the 9th Manvantara and he gives the details of all the 13 or 14 Manvantaras in this particular chapter. The reason I wanted to dwell on the 8th one in detail is just to let you know that of all these, in this Manvantara, you know Hanumanji. Hanumanji is going to be next Manvantaras Brahmaji. Now Bali, Raja Bali is going to be Indra. Now who is going to be Saptarishis? Of all these Saptarishis, you know most of them. Galava, Deeptimana you may not know, but you definitely know Parashurama, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and then Rishyashringa and Vyasa. So they are going to be the, that is why whenever I tell Hanuman Chalisa, I also add one more line there. I said, you can reserve your seats with Hanumanji. Because if you are not confident enough that you will be able to finish it in this Manvantara, next Manvantara it is going to be he is going to be Brahma, so you are already in his good books. So now while listening to all these various lists of Manvantaras, Raja Parikshita gets a doubt. Probably you also got that doubt. So Parikshita in next chapter he asks, Manvantareshu Bhagavan yatha manvadayastvime yasmin karmani ye yena niyuktas tadvavasvame. He says, hey Shukacharya, please tell me that there are all these people who get elected and sometimes the names that you have said, it keeps confusing me. How come they are qualified to become? Tell me who gives them permission to become Saptarishis or Brahma or Indra? Who selects them and what kind of jobs do they do? Shukadev says, first let me answer you straight away. He says, Manavaha Manuputraha Munayaha Mahipate Indraha Suraganaschaiva Sarve Purusha Shasanaha. It is by that Sri Hari himself who orders them to be in those positions based on their karma. Whatever is the karma phala of their lives, they are ordered to be in these different positions. Now what do they do? After being born in these various forms, there is a very beautiful logic that he gives in the 4th and 5th shloka of the 14th chapter. It is Chaturyugante Kalena. At the end of the Chaturyuga, which is at the end of the Kali Yuga, Dharmaha Sanatanaha, that Sanatana Dharma and all the scriptures have been forgotten. Probably nobody remembers them at that time. Scriptures are not available. Scriptures are not handy. When people say, Swami, there are too many temples in Dallas, Fort Worth, good, you are in the good part of Kali Yuga. Because when you read through these Puranas, very clearly say at the end, the 4th quarter, you don't want to be by that time in this creation chakra. The description is, the scriptures are not available. And anybody who can wear a different color can start leading a cult, can start leading a group, saying that is the path for spirituality. We have already seen this in 1st canto, and we have seen it in 5th canto too, as to what would be the end of Kali Yuga, the environment, the situation. So we are glad. Do we have air to breathe? Simple yes or no. Water to drink? A place to live in to protect you from sun and wind and cold? Yes. So we are in the good part of Kali Yuga. In the later part of Kali Yuga, it is called Durbhara. You cannot withstand all these things. And the environment will become so polluted that you will not have air and water to breathe and drink. We are in the good part. Along with all these things deteriorating, the scripture, Shruti, is also done. So then what happens? Rishayaha apashyayantaha. All these Saptarishis, seeing that the Kali Yuga has come to an end, and then the Satya Yuga has to start. So all these Saptarishis sit back and start meditating to revive the scriptures and the scriptural knowledge, so that it can be given back to the people. Tato dharmam chatushpadam manavo harinoditaha yukta sancharanti. With their meditative powers, they bring out all these scriptural knowledge. And this Sanatana Dharma is spread by all the devas and all these people who have been appointed by the Lord. And the Lord himself becomes all these Saptarishis, he becomes the Panchamahayagna, he becomes, in fact, even time, wherein he keeps moving everybody in towards culmination. Before the level of culmination, you should focus on the Lord, and nothing else is important other than focusing on Lord. Once you focus on Lord, Kala doesn't touch you. And that very beautifully, very in a simple language, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Maharaj, he puts it in a very simplistic way. When you are grinding stone, you've seen grinding stone. In earlier days, Indian prisons were called the house for grinding stone. कहाँ गया था? चक्की पीसने गया था. Remember? Why चक्की पीसोing? Because in the prisons they had all these grinding stones, and they were made to grind so that they could sell the flour and rava, idli rava and all that. It was made there. I'm not kidding. It was made there. They didn't have these mills. So what happens when you are grinding is you pour the grains in the middle where there is a hub. There is a iron stud which is like a pivot which doesn't move. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji says, that which comes out in powder form is because it gave up its position with that center of this grinding stone. That which could retain its position with the pivot of that grinding stone never gets ground by this treacherous grinding stone. Now that grinding stone is the time. You may have whatever kind of ego, that I am so great, nothing can touch me, I have so much of wealth, so much of name, so much of fame, that I can get a lot of favors in various patterns. But there is one thing that your name, fame, wealth cannot buy. It cannot buy a stopper into the time that is ticking. And that is the reason most of the poets have described that time is the most impartial being in this world. Whether it is a king or a poor person, whether it is a rich or a person who is in dirt, dirty rich and the person who is in dirt, the person who is erudite and scholarly and person who is unintelligent, the person who is black or white or brown or whatever be the color of skin, time is one thing that is impartial, that doesn't spare anybody. So he says, "O Lord, you become day and night." People feel gloomy when it is night, people feel happy the moment it is day, and over the period of time they also celebrate the New Years and the birthdays, forgetting, this comes in the 8th through 10th shloka, forgetting that it is not a new year coming, it is that 1 year of our entire span is gone, inevitable. So you keep this entire creation running, moving forward as the Kala Swarupa. So this Lord appoints the Devas like Indra, Varuna, Agni, Yama, Prajapatis, and he is the one who appoints Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. He is the one who appoints the Saptarishis, meaning this soul transmigrating from one jiva to the other, one form of body to the other, constantly moving, acquiring various kinds of impressions. The more subtler impressions you gain, you get into a different, subtler life. But the aim being, Lord Yama himself says in Kathopanishad, he says to Nachiketa, when I was of your age, O Nachiketa, I was pretty intrigued by this Swarga, and I wanted to be a part of this Swarga. So I put a very consistent effort right since your age, meaning from 5-6 years old. He says he has put in his earlier Manvantaras effort, he has consistently put to become a part of heaven. I was unintelligent then. I should have focused on redeeming myself, and I could have done that half the effort. With half the effort that I have slogged for becoming, getting this padavi in, or this seat in heavens as Yama. Now poor fellow has the longest transit between his home and job. Indra, Varuna, Agni, everybody has their home as well as they work from their home. Let me put it that way. But poor Yama is not like that. His thing is, his house is in Swarga, but his office is in the thresholds between Swarga and Naraka. And what is the vehicle that he's been appointed with? Yamaha. You know, the bull. Not the bull, the buffalo, he buffalo. Kab pahunchega? He. Poor Yama has to travel on that. So he says, you know, I am on the threshold, knowing both life and death, and the life after that. Now I see how unintelligently I have chosen this particular path. So here Shukadev ji concludes saying in this chapter that, hey Parikshita, I have given you that 14 Manvantaras, the details of it in very short, sweet way, and I have also given you the information as to who runs this entire show. It is this Lord Srihari. And he says, having thus informed, now let me take you back to this Manvantara's most beautiful story that would have happened. It is a story of Raja Bali. Though he was a Daitya, he had the streaks of his grandfather and his great erudite scholarly father. His father Virochana is also recognized as the Mahadani. See, when people come and ask something from you, and if they are very intelligently asking, just promise that whatever I ask you will give. You are already very cautious. You first tell. I will not promise just like that. You tell. If I can give, if I feel like giving, then I will give it. If if it was not a promise, it was something that somebody asked and you could give. Even in that giving, our mind is very funny pattern that it has, that even in giving, it can change its standpoint by the time it comes to the hand. You know, in our ashram in Bombay, we have a Shivalaya. And the Shivaratri time is the most effort-filled time frame. 3-4 days before the Shivaratri begins, we have to clean up the entire temple. The entire temple is like from the foothill to the top of the temple. Every stair, every nook and corner has to be cleaned. And it is it's an old temple with huge lamps. If you think that this is a huge lamp, you can say 10 times bigger than this would be the lamp, the Kerala lamps, the big ones, huge. So there will be like 10, 20 of those big lamps. Now these brass or panchaloha things, they look elegant. These are the actual white elephants. We are given no chemicals, we are given sand, ash, and at the last phase, after you scrub them really good, is you are given tamarind to bring that glow in it. The whole thing has to be cleaned, the brass material should be looking really bright. The entire sanctum is, everything is painted, and the day before, there are like 80 students and we all sit together, beautiful patterns of flowers decorating the entire temple from the foothill to the top of the temple. And that very day, right from morning 4 o'clock till late night 2 o'clock, we wait like 200,000, 300,000 people visiting. And the most painful job is to break coconuts. And everybody coming, and there are people who come with some vrata or some kind of, they come with 100 coconuts. चढ़ाओ, भगवान को भेंट चढ़ाओ. After everything is done, imagine 200, 300,000 people coming, so that much of cash goes into hundi. 7-8 times the hundi box is cleaned and gathered in one secured place. So the next day we sit. That is the most painful, pathetic day. Why? We are already under pain of extreme work. And we hate sitting with that money. Not because we are brahmacharis and we don't have anything to do with money, nothing of that kind of vairagya bhava. What I am trying to say is that money, when you look at it, especially these, you don't feel like touching those notes. They might have tried every which way to use that currency, but probably they would not have been accepted. I know they could go to the banks, but you exchange it in the bank, you will not get punya. You put it in the hundi, you get punya for that tone currency. And do you think they just put that tone 10 rupee note just like that? No. They will take 9 rupee 50 paisa change back. So what have they offered? They have offered 50 paise in the form of that tone 10 rupee note. Probably he might have thought, for this 10 rupee nobody is taking, let him offer it to the Lord. When he sees in that arthi plate, lot of small change, he says, 950 wapas do. The mind changes, fickle mind. We don't feel like giving. Virochana, he was just asked, your lifespan with all the energy, can you donate it to me? He took that water, took sankalpa and gave it right away. Can we give like that? Things that we keep holding on to, things that we own. In fact, we even train our small children. Today we are going to have this party, and this function that we are going to have in the evening. Put all your toys where nobody can see. Then when somebody takes your toys and you keep crying saying that somebody has taken, don't complain with me. Hide them, go. I've heard it. It's after all a toy. Now imagine Bali's father was Virochana, such a giver. And that is why in Bali's life also, when he starts giving, he doesn't look back. Giving is such a strong streak in their family, though he was a Daitya. We are at least Manava. Manava Dharma is to share. Daitya's Dharma is to grab. Now with Bali's greatness, his Virochana, his father's greatness was to give. And who is his grandfather? Prahlada himself. So there is a strong bhakti and samskara yukta Daitya. By mistake he was a Daitya, but all the lakshanas were sattvic lakshanas of Bali. See, we have seen Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha and all these kinds of asuras described. And when they were described, there is that kind of horrible description. But when you have a description of Prahlada, Virochana or Bali, except that they are born in the Daitya Kula, all their traits are like Santa Mahapurusha. Now, such Bali, what did he do? He was brought back as a dead carcass from the earlier Devasura Sangram. And since his limbs were not cut apart, the Sanjeevani mantra that his guru had, Shukracharya, brought life back into Bali. As I say, when you have a second chance given, near-death experiences. Here it is not near death, it is after death experience. So when a second chance is given to Bali, he dedicates and devotes his life to his guru. Bhrugukula gurus, Shukracharya, and because he was enlivened by Shukracharya, he dedicates and does a lot of tapasya as a student of Shukracharya. Shukracharya was very happy, and so were the other Brahmanas who were very happy with Raja Bali. So they all decide, hey Bali, we are so happy with you that we want to see you reinstated as the king of Swarga. So we are going to see that you perform a yajna which is called Vishwajita Yajna. Now that Vishwajita Yajna is a yajna wherein you do the Ashwamedha Yaga. After you do the Vishwajita Yajna, you do Ashwamedha Yaga. So what happened in this Vishwajita Yajna? There were beautiful horses that were born of that Yajna Kunda with the Ratha. It was looking so beautiful. It was, as though like 10 Indra Rathas put together. It was that efficient. If what Indra had a BMW 75 series, 1975 series. Why 75? Just a vague number that came into my head. What Bali had was 2009 Ferrari. It was that kind of a amazing Ratha that he had got. Along with the Ratha, he also had two Dhanusha as well as two quivers which would never get empty. He had two Khadga, two spears, and the entire body of Kavacha that could protect him from any kind of attack. And then Shukracharya ji gave him a Shankha, which was a very powerful Shankha. Prahlada, seeing that his son, his grandson, had developed such dedication and devotion to the Gurus, came by and gave him a Pushpamala. That kind of Pushpamala which would never ever wilt out. As he was offering, there were Brahmara around that Pushpamala. Now this was not a fake one. This was a real Pushpamala, and he adorned Bali with that Pushpamala. Now there were some instructions given by the entire Bhrigu Vamshis along with Shukracharya. After having taken leave from them, then he went to his grandfather's quarters, Prahlada, did Sashtanga Namaskar to his grandfather, took blessings from him, and then wore all the ornaments and the Divya Astras that were proclaimed by him. It was as though, this comes in the 10th shloka, Tulyashvair Balashribihi Swasyuthair Daitya Yuthapaihi Pibhadbihi Ivakham Drugbihi. He was looking so powerful that just by his looks he could devour the entire directions. Entire space could be like pulled by him. That was a kind of akarshana, brightness that was in Raja Bali. Now when the king himself has prepared so well, just looking at that kind of bright king, even if people did not have that kind of skill or strength, just looking at this able king, they all gathered that inspiration and enthusiasm. The king himself is like, shaking and very shaky and does not know what direction he is looking at, does not have a clarity as to what to do. The people underneath, they will not have strength at all. Now looking at Bali, the entire Daitya Saina started getting accumulated. All this under Shukracharya's guidance to Bali. Now as he moved out of his palace along with the entire Daitya Sena, it was looking as though a new sun has started rising in the opposite direction. Usually in the east there is a sun rising, but this is from the west, that there was the entire Bali and his Sena coming from the opposite direction as a new sun has come into the horizon. And then he started moving towards Swarga, Amrutapuri. Where is this Amrutapuri? It is the main palace of Indra. This is called Amrutapuri. Now in this Amrutapuri, Yatra, where Nityavayo Rupaha Shyama Virajavasasaha Bhrajante Rupavanair Yoho. How do they look? Nitya Yavanaha. People there always look young, always look bright and cheerful. Such was this beautiful city of Amrutapuri. or Indrapuri. Now this greatness of this Indrapuri was that people who were dushta, adharmi, jivadrohi, khala, they could not enter. Now this beautiful place was filled with swans and ducks, and you could say that it was a resort. Everywhere it was a resort. And the entire pavement, the roads and everything was made out of gold. It was protected by Akasha Ganga from all sides. And then there was a fort, really huge. Staying in that beautiful protected environment, Indra got startled when he heard the Shankha of Shukracharya. He says, this must be Shukracharya Shankha, but Shukracharya doesn't challenge people for war, so this must have been given to Bali. And then he looked at the sky. The entire Indrapuri was covered by the Daityas. Not knowing what to do. There's one good thing about Indra. But whenever he has not done this kind, he has always had to face troubles. The moment he saw Bali and his power, he knew he could not face them. So what did he do? He ran to his Guru. Who is his Guru? Brihaspati. So running to his Guru, he says, Bruhi karanametasya durdharshastava madripoho. Madripa, Bali, whom I had cut asundered. Usually the one whom I have defeated, whom I have killed in an earlier battle, I should not be threatened. But looking at him, I feel as though all my teja is going away. Just looking at him. What has happened to him? Guru Ruvacha. Hey Maghavan, hey Indra, Janami, I know the reason of the strength of Bali. Because Indra sometimes can get very arrogant. So Brihaspati used this opportunity to bring some sense back into Indra's life. You know what was the reason why Bali became really so strong? He says, Sishyayopabhrutam tejaha. Because he was a good Sishya. Just being a good Sishya, you get that kind of tejas. It was like a hint to Indra. Rebevkoof, Murkha. You had all the opportunity in the heavens to make best use. Now look at him, he has made the best use of Shukracharya by his dedicated, devoted act, that you can see his strength. I have only one suggestion for you. Now Brihaspati ji could see into the future. He looked into Indra and his fears. He said, all you devas vanish in thin air. Leave this Swarga. Because when you look into Bali and his Muhurta Bala, it's too strong. You cannot defeat him. So listening to the words of Brihaspati, all these people vanished. Vanished from Swarga. Now such place which was now empty of all the devas, Bali, Raja Bali took over as his main presiding office. And from there he started performing Vishwa Vijayi Yagnya, wherein he was performing this Ashwamedha Yaga under the auspices of Shukracharya, who is Bhrigunandana. So much was his khyati, fame, that was spreading, that he was like the king of the kings. The kind of fame which even Indra could not get, Raja Bali got. He was one of the most righteous Daityas you could find, as was his grandfather. Now with this kind of Bali taking over the entire Shri of the Indras and Devatas, this world, starting from that place till here, till the Manavas, there is something which is very vichitra, is the Sneha Pasha. Sneha Pasha, that binding force between the parents and the children, that something happening to the children, the parents cannot take it. Now in the next chapter, Diti was happy to see Kashyapa Prajapati coming after a long session of meditation. His samadhi got finished, and he comes down searching for Aditi, and comes to Aditi's small little place. Probably when he saw her last, she was living in the palace. Now she was living in a hut, but she was happy finding Kashyapa. Now as Kashyapa entered, he looked. Ekada Kashyapastasyaha ashraman bhagavan agata nirutsavam niranandam. Nirutsavam, there is no brightness in that place. There was no happiness. It was like, aap aaye, bahut acha hua, andar aaiye. But there was no, joy in that place. So he observed it, and he could see through things. Aditi is thinking of something that she is totally distant. In those days, even today, the wise men, they do not directly tell that this is your responsibility or this is your duties. The way they instruct or they give advices is in a very beautiful manner. That is what we observe even here. He says, "Hey Aditi, the way your face and which lacks glow in it, it compels me to ask, are the Brahmana in this loka safe? Or you being in this Grihastha ashrama, did you forget taking care of your Athithi? Was there a Athithi that left your house without taking even water?" See, we got this kind of mention even in Kathopanishad. See, I was with Guruji and we had gone to a place. This was after, sometimes we think that being with masters is very easy. Actually, it is not that easy. So we were traveling on road. We were stopped for, this was after lunch we started traveling. We had to reach a place which was 200-300 kilometers away. I think it was 260 kilometers away. And en route there were many devotees that had called in and where Guruji would stop. So we were in the troop in the same vehicle. So we stopped for 3 or 4 places for tea. After lunch, 4 teas. And the tea is not given just independent, right? It is always coming with many things. So he took, and there was not a single place that he would not force us to take to. Just go have. ये क्या जबरदस्ती है? They invited you, Swamiji, you take. We are not coming. You know, go take. By the time we came for, it was not yet dinner time. In the outskirts of the city, we visited another devotee's house. There was a little 15-20 minute bhajan satsang. And by that time we had complete vairagya towards food. Let me put it that way. Food, the topic, the thought of it would be a scary thought. So as soon as the bhajans were done, Aarti was done, when everybody were bending down to do namaskar, 7-8 of us ran out. Literally ran out. So Guruji looked at me and said, call those 8 people. They will refuse to come inside. Tell them that I have ordered them to be here in front of me. And this tea and all the snacks were ushna. And here the options were one big glass of buttermilk or one big glass of coconut water. In our native language there is a saying, how does it matter which stone you hit your mouth with? Teeth have to fall, right? So how does it matter what goes in? So whatever grabbed we could grab, and then after Guruji came into the class, I said, Swamiji, dinner we are not coming. I said, yes, here you have an option because we will be going first to the ashram, and from ashram we will go to the other house. You don't need to come to the other house. So we felt relieved. But then there was this, mind has this nasty habit with wise and house, howling and whiling away time with these questions. Why did you force us to have these many teas, these many snacks, these many drinks on our way? Then he explained this. This is what Kashyapa Maharaj explains to Aditi also. This comes in the 7th shloka of the 16th chapter. Very beautifully put. Griheshu yeshu athitayaha narchita salilairapi. Salila is water. If the Atiti is not entertained, architaha, not entertained, at least with water, what happens? That house, Pheruraja Grihopamaha. Pheruraja is the house of wolves, house of dogs and wolves. Meaning that house will become such Shrihina. So if any Athithi comes, that is why in India they may not know this reason, but it is ingrained in the culture if you look at it. Even midnight you go, especially when you go from here to India, you go for those 15-20 day trip and you have 20 places, in each place you have 20 further houses, and you go to one of these houses of your friends or relatives, and the time that you could find was 11:30 midnight. You go into that house, first thing they will ask, so chai piyenge? Anytime you go, the hospitality is ingrained. So when you visit, it is more strict for our brahmacharis and swamis, that when we visit, we are compelled by the Shastra saying that we have to at least take a glass of water. You take a glass of water, sip one sip and you can leave. But without taking a glass of water, the entire Shri can get affected, which will be a wrong thing for Grihasthashram. So he says, did you miss offering services to the Athithis, wherein you missed even giving a glass of water? Why does your face look so vihina, glow? There is no glow on your face. Why? is everything okay with your kids, with your children? Now Aditi, now you are asking a right question. So she starts. Bhadram dvijagavam brahman dharmasyasya janasya cha trivargasya param kshetram grahamedhin graha ime. With your blessings and with your guidance, I am glad that I have followed the entire grihasthashrama dharma as you have explained it to me. So whether it was Dvija, Brahmana, or there were Atithi or anybody coming in, taking ashraya in our house, I have done my best seva that was supposed to be done at that time. I know that you being the Prajapati, everybody born to you, whether they are Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic, you are very equipoised. But then when I look at my children, Hai mera dil phata ja raha hai. That is what she says. They have been occupied and driven away from their homes by their Shatru. Kashyapa, poor fellow, is like pulled apart. One side it is Aditi, the other side it is Diti. One side it is the Adityas and the other Devas, the other side it is all the Daityas. I remember Gurudev's story once. Father had two daughters. One got married to a potter. The other one got married to a farmer. So when he went to visit, they were there, the villages that he had given his two daughters were close by. I mean, the daughters were, those villages were close by, but far away from his village. So when he used to go for a round, he would first go to first daughter, visit her, bless her, and then go to the second daughter and come back. One such trip, when he visited the first daughter, who had married the potter, he said, oh father, if at all you have to bless us that there will be plenty of sun. Because the more there is sun, the more it is our time for drying out all the pots and baking them. If there is rain, then our business gets hit. Tathastu. That is what the father said, and moved to the next place. And this daughter said, oh father, bless us that we have lots of rains. Because my husband is a farmer, and if there is a drought, the entire season gets wasted and we will not have enough to eat even. Now the father started thinking, now there I said Tathastu. Here also I have to say Tathastu, but they are becoming mutually cancelling. The example was taken by Gurudev for various other reason, but here Kashyapa, poor fellow, has the same kind of debate. One side it is Diti, other side it is Aditi. So he understood. He understood what kind of sankalpa Aditi had in her mind. So she looked at her husband and she said, to bless my kids, do you have a upaya? So that they can get all their Shri back. So he said, go worship to Lord Sri Hari. He is the real caretaker of all of us. He will tell you the upaya. Now Aditi was a very sincere student. So she said, you have asked me to worship Lord Sri Hari, it's fine, but how do I worship him? Like, when we meet each other and after whatever we have to speak with each other, we are done. What is the last thing that we say, that especially in this country? Have a nice day. You also have a nice day and leave. Have you ever paused to ask someone when somebody says, have a nice day, how? You take it for granted. Here also the Kashyapa says worship Sri Hari, and he'll take care and bless you. He said, idea is fine, but how? So Kashyapa smiled for himself. Said, Devi, in the most sattvic way, you are the most intelligent lady that I have found. With the same kind of question as to do the best for our children, I had once met Brahmaji and he had given me this beautiful Upadesha. This Upadesha has to be, I mean, this entire Upasana is called Payovrata. It's a very beautiful process of Payovrata. What does this Payovrata mean? This is a vrata for 12 days. Why did it get Payovrata name? Payaha means milk. These 12 days you have to live on milk. Oh, living on milk? It is not like whenever you feel hungry, go drink milk. 1 glass of milk per day. Let me also specify the size of glass. You know, in this country, the size of glass is like a bucket. Tall, venti, grande, right? The bigger one. It's really this big. That is not called glass. It's a bucket. So glass can be that small one, short. 1 glass of milk. And you have to be a strict brahmacharya, wherein all 10 organs of perception and action are in complete balance. This has to be observed in Phalguna Shukla Paksha. Till the next, these 12 days are completed, you have to patiently observe all the rules of this Payovrata. Just before this mantra and this Upadesha is taken, find the mud which has been dug by a boar and do the lap of it and take a dip in the holy waters, whichever is the river close by. For us in Dallas, there is a Trinity River. And take a dip in that river, and then he gives the entire Upasana, wherein the stotra that has to be chanted. He tells. If there is a system saying that it is a wild boar, there is no question why. If you want the result, you follow it. Can I do a substitute? No substitutions. We do substitutions and expect a great result. Vastrarte pushpani samarpayami, akshatani samarpayami. When you do puja, the description given is so beautiful, elaborate. Ratna khachita hema simhasanam samarpayami. Hema is gold. Beautifully carved golden seat is offered to you, Lord, which is studded with gems and diamonds and all these. And the Lord is like, Acha, kahan pe? He is also like, trying to see, where is it? And then they say, Akshatani samarpayami. If there is no upasana paddhati, see, that is Nishkama Bhava. Nishkama Puja, it is a different Bhava. Sakama Puja, if there is a prescribed method, follow what is said. You cannot go shortcut. Anyway, getting back. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahiyase Sarvabhuta Nivasaya Vasudevaya Sakshine. So this is the start of the mantra. So there are like 15-20 shlokas of this entire stotra. After having chanted this stotra with the Dvadashakshari mantra of the Lord, of Sri Hari, of Lord Narayana, Dwadashakshari mantra being repeated, you offer the entire Shodashopachara puja. You repeat that mantra. And after the puja has been done, wherein you have done the, what is the last step? Udvasana has also been done. After the Udvasana has been done with the Dwadashakshari mantra, you sit down with complete focus and chant this Dwadashakshari mantra 108 times. And then, and this part I would like to describe. Invite to Brahmana, minimum. Maximum, yathecha, with your capacity. But minimum 2 Brahmana you call, with whatever Naivedya has been cooked, along with the other food, serve them. Serve them to their taste. They liked something, you serve that. And I went to a house, I should tell you this. This was in Bombay. This is an old couple, a Bihari couple. He was a professor and his wife had absolutely no studies at all. A very simpleton, very plain-hearted people though. I love them. So this old Amman, I used to call them up, they would pick me up from the airport and drop me off anytime. So in one late evening I called, I said, I missed my flight, it is scheduled for tomorrow. So can you pick me up and can you cook some meal for me? So she cooked. And there was one sabji, some bhaji, just cooked in bulk, little more for, not just for one person, it could have been enough for 3-4 people. So along with everything, she is serving that more. I understood, khatam karna hai. I ate whatever I could, but there is a limit, right? I can't force myself to eat. Then finally at the end, I said, ye bhaji thoda aur hai. I said, jagah nahi, I don't have place inside. At the last straw, last logic that she had, she says, kal to kaam wali bhi nahi aayegi, khao. Tomorrow there will not be this servant maid also coming, so it will go waste, so eat it now. She was a perfect grihini kind of a mind. So next day morning, early morning I had to leave. So I was searching, there was a fruit tray. So I was searching which fruit to take. And she walks by, she glances and says, केले खत्म करना, सड़ने को आए. Finish the bananas, they're almost to decompose. Finish them fast. So when you feed the Brahmana, feed them with what they like. And then they say, after the feeding is done, then give them yathochita dakshina satkara in the 44th shloka, and then having taken their permission that they are satisfied, with your friends and family, sit down for eating food. After the Brahmana have been fed. Like this, with complete brahmacharya, for 12 days follow this vrata. And then Lord Sri Hari will be pleased by you. Now she was a very dedicated, devout lady. This Payovrata Sankalpa she took, waited for the Falguna, and in that Shukla Paksha she started this Payovrata. 12 days, and on the 13th day this Vrata is finished. On that final day, after the 12th day, the 13th day, you give a big, do a great puja of the Lord, And this is one thing that I found really surprising. He even suggests, do not, stop yourself from spending money. If need be, borrow money. Whatever that puja that you are doing, do it in a grand way that Lord Sri Hari is totally pleased with that puja. So on that 13th day, as she had finished the puja, fed the Brahmana, and taking their permission, they had taken their food. After everything was settled, she sat down quietly. As she sat down quietly, suddenly in front of her appeared in 4-armed form Lord Narayana in Pitambara Vastra. Tasyaha pradurbhutat Bhagavan Adipurushaha Pitavasas Chaturbahuhu Shankachakra Gadadharaha. So Shankachakra Gada Padma in all 4 hands, he appeared in front of Aditi. Now Aditi was waiting for him eagerly. But that which you are waiting for eagerly, when suddenly appears in front of you, she was so filled with joy and trembling. It's not that she wanted to tremble, her limbs were trembling and her eyes were swelling with water, and she had harpulations all over and her hair was standing on end. She wanted to stand up and prostrate, but her mind froze, not knowing what to do. So she was in a half-raised position looking at the Lord crying. So the Lord also waited for her to get into much stabler form, and once she recognized that she was in a half-raised form and still looking at the Lord crying, she gathered herself, prostrated to that Lord, and then got up and did the stuti, vandana of this Ramapati in a very slow manner, because she had to gather herself. She very slowly performed the stuti of the Lord. After having worshipped by Aditi this beautiful way and also seeing how touched she was by his presence, the Lord said, "Hey Aditi, I understand the reason for which you have concluded this Payovrata as ordered by Kashyapa Prajapati. But then I cannot protect your sons and give them back what Bali has taken, because he taking it away, in fact it was your sons who ran away from that place without even putting a battle. And Raja Bali, with all his great endeavor that he has been doing under the tutelage of Shukracharya, he has done so much of yajna and he has lived such a dharmic life, it is impossible for me also to touch him, to bless your children. But since I am also pleased by your devotion and your Payovrata, let me think of a plan." Now when the Lord has said himself that he is going to think of a plan, Aditi said, "Okay, I am now totally relieved of all kinds of burden, because the Lord has taken the responsibility." Because the Lord says, "Mamarchanam narhati gantum anyatha." Having worshipped me so intensely, the results of it cannot go in vain. So let me think of a plan. So as the Lord, just before he could disappear, he says, "I will come as, I will be born as your son. Inform this to Kashyapa." So as Aditi approached Kashyapa Mahamuni, Kashyapa, looking at her face, could read what could have happened. He understood that Lord Sri Hari gave her darshan. So from his, it comes in the 22nd shloka of the 17th chapter. Upadhavat patim bhaktya paraya kritakrityavat savai samadhi yogena kasyapaha tadadbudhyata. Tad abudhyata. He immediately found what was due to come. He found that in him, as the seed form, the Lord in his Amsha had already entered. Now he delivered that to Aditi, who in due course of time gave birth to a beautiful form of Vamana. This Vamana Avatara, and the description of this Vamana Avatara, which comes in the 18th chapter, we will see at the end tomorrow. Because Vamana Avatara and Vamana meeting Bali, we will see that tomorrow. It's a very beautiful description. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.